Someone important to me is leaving this week, and I think you know that feeling. Not dramatic kind of goodbye, just the quiet realization that after a certain day, things won't be the same. I didn't know what to do with that feeling, so I started painting. Here's something I keep coming back to. Our memories aren't reliable. We treat them like recordings, like somewhere inside us, there's an accurate version of what happened, preserved exactly as it was. But that's not how memory works. The same moment, experienced by two different people, becomes two completely different stories. Something that felt like the best afternoon of your life might be something the other person barely remembers. A moment that seemed ordinary to you might be the one someone else holds on to for years. And even within yourself, the same memory shifts. You remember it differently at different points in your life. You emphasize different things. You feel differently about the same moment depending on who you've become since then. There's something even more interesting here. We don't just remember, we evaluate. Every memory gets filtered through our own lens. We decide, consciously or not, whether something was good or bad, meaningful or forgettable, worth keeping or worth letting go. Two people can go through the exact same experience and walk away with completely opposite feelings about it. One person's best memory is another person's worst. One person's ordinary Tuesday is another person's turning point. Which means memory isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we participate in, something we shape. And if that's true, then we have more power over how we remember than we think. If memory is unstable, if it shifts and bends depending on how we look at it, then in some ways, we get to choose what we focus on. Not in a dishonest way, not pretending the hard things didn't happen, but in the way that any artist makes choices about what to put in the frame. You don't have to include everything. You decide what the painting is about. When someone leaves, there are always two directions you can look. You can focus on the ending, the loss, the shape of the days after they're gone, or you can turn toward the ear, the specific kind of ordinary that only existed because that person was there. Both are true, but only one of them is something you can truly hold on to. I think this is something we don't talk about enough, that grief and gratitude can exist at the same time, that you can be sad about a goodbye and still choose to let the good parts be louder. That's not denial. That's a decision, and it's one of the most quietly powerful things we can do. So that's what I did. My best friend spent a year here as studying abroad, a year that changed me more than I expected. And when I realized she was leaving, I made a choice about how I wanted to remember it. Not the countdown, not the last week, the year, the warmth of it, the lightness, the specific happiness of being known by someone. Because here's what a painting can do that memory sometimes can't. It freezes a feeling, not the facts, not every detail, just what it felt like to be there, the emotional temperature of a moment, captured before it softens into something you can't quietly reach anymore. I made stickers from our memories, the amusement park where neither of us wanted to leave, the experience that we went to a photo booth together, the small ordinary afternoons that don't sound like much, but were everything. And in making of them, I realized the person leaves, but the feeling they gave you doesn't. That warmth, the way they made you see things, the version of yourself you were around them, that stays. A painting becomes the proof of it, the evidence that something real happened, that it mattered. There's one more thing I want to say, the act of remembering. The actual effort of trying to hold on to someone, that itself is already love. You don't need to do anything grand. Just the fact that you sit down and think, I don't want to forget this. I want to keep what this felt like. That's already saying, you mattered. You shaped something in me. And I think that's why I make art. Not to be impressive, not to show what can I technically do, but because I want to put something real into what I make. A feeling that actually happened. A warmth that came from somewhere true. When I paint, I'm not just filling a canvas. I'm trying to give someone something they can feel. Even if they've never met the person I painted for, even if they don't know the story behind it. Because I believe that genuine feeling travels. That when something is made with real intention, with real care, it reaches people. That's the kind of artist I want to be. The kind that makes things with something true inside them. And I think that starts with this, with being willing to sit with a feeling long enough to put it somewhere it can last. Here they are, Every small memory, every ordinary afternoon that turned out to matter. Memories fade, I know that. I accepted that. But these, I can't hold. Stick somewhere I'll see on an ordinary day. And for just a moment, be back there. I hope that wherever she goes, she feels it. The warmth that was real, the year that happened. And I hope you, watching this, think of someone too. Someone worth remembering this carefully. Someone worth painting. That's why I make art, to keep what matters before it quietly slips away.